Most entrepreneurs think that they'll get taken down by a competitor, right? A lawsuit, a bad economy. Wrong. The biggest threat to your business is sitting between your ears, and it's the same threat for all of us. So in today's video, I'm going to show you the 10 deadliest mindset mistakes that entrepreneurs make that cause them to lose, so you can avoid them and win by inversion. That's the trick, so let's get right into it. I'm Karam, a 20-year lawyer and entrepreneur now. I spent 2 decades in courtrooms watching businesses get destroyed, not by bad luck, but by avoidable mistakes, mental mistakes, mindset failures, the kind of errors that happen before a single contract gets signed or a single dollar changes hands. So I built a system. It's the business defense system for entrepreneurs. And here's how it works. There's 5 enemies who are coming after your business. They're the 5 C's: the clients, the challengers, the competitors, the cops, and your crown. That's your own ego. You'll never know when and from where they'll come from, but guaranteed they're coming for you. And then there's 7 danger legal zones where they attack. These are 7 zones that all entrepreneurs need to survive in. And then there's 101 deadly mistakes that entrepreneurs need to avoid in these danger zones. That's how simple it is. But before we do anything, we need to conquer danger zone 1, and that's what we're covering in this video. The power, mindset, and skills that winning entrepreneurs have. And that's the foundation. That's where so many entrepreneurs lose before they even start their business. If you get this wrong, there's no amount of legal protection that can save you. No coaching or sales, because eventually you'll meet an enemy in the danger zone and lose it all. Now, deadly mistake number 1 is trusting people before they've earned it. Here's what I've learned after 20 years of representing business owners in disputes. Every single one of them trusted someone they really shouldn't have. A business partner who seemed like a great guy, or the client who promised to pay next week, the vendor who swore they'd deliver on time. They all had one thing in common. They hadn't earned that trust yet, but the entrepreneur gave it to them anyway. Trust is not a default setting. Trust needs to be earned, especially in business. It's something people earn through consistent actions over time. Not through words, not through promises, and not through charm, just through actions, and a whole lot of actions, and they have to be consistent because business is war. And when you trust too hard, you lose. And here's the inverted solution. Verify first, trust second. Before you go into business with someone, before you extend credit, before you share your plans, verify. Check references, look at their track record, watch what they do and not what they say. Have a trial run with them. Before you partner or collaborate together, I'm not saying be paranoid. I'm saying be smart. The people who burned you, they seem trustworthy too, right? That's how they get close enough to burn you. I saw it all the time. That's fraudsters, former spouses even, business partners. Ex-employees are all trusted too much, leaving your business exposed. Now, trust is earned through actions, not words, consistent actions. I'll say it again, because what? Because business is war. So that brings us to deadly mistake number 2, and that's playing offense without playing defense. Now, every entrepreneur I meet wants to talk about growth, revenue, scale, marketing, sales, branding. That's offense. And offense is important. You need offense to win. But here's what they don't teach you in business school. Offense wins game. Defense wins championships, and not just in sports, but in business. You can grow to $1 million in revenue, but if you don't have the right contracts, the right structure, the right protections, one lawsuit, one dispute, one regulatory action, one deal gone sideways, and everything is out the window. I've seen it happen over and over. And here's how you invert the mistake to get the solution. Build your defense before you scale your offense. Get your LLC set up properly. Get your contracts bulletproof. Protect your IP. Understand compliance. Do all of that first, then grow. That's your foundation, because here's the truth. The bigger you get, the bigger the target on your back, your enemies, your clients, competitors, cops, your challengers, and even your ego. They get harder to deal with. They're coming after you because now you have something that's even worth more. So defense before growth, that's the legally bulletproof way. And if you want any investors or you want to exit, that's how you build the proper valuation, is through great legal structure, strategies, and systems. Now that's going to bring us to deadly mistake Number 3, and I've seen this over and over, that's moving way too fast without pausing to analyze the downside. Now, all the gurus will tell you move fast and learn later, but that can be terrible advice for most entrepreneurs, because when you move fast, you miss things. And entrepreneurs are already prone to jumping around from deal to deal, business to business. And when you aren't protected and you don't have someone watching your back, you don't have a mentor, you miss the clause in the contract that gives away your IP. You miss the red flag in your partner's background, or in the business deal you shouldn't have gotten involved in. You missed the compliance issue that triggers the investigation. You missed the deal that could have made you millions, because moving fast feels productive. But speed without analysis, that's recklessness. Now here's how you invert that mistake. Before any major decision, pause and use the problem-solving skill known as inversion. I've mentioned this over and over. It's what Charlie Munger does. It's what Alex Hormozi does. It's not just me. Now, inversion is a mental model that's used by Munger and Alex Hormozi. It's also a model I've used since I started practicing law. And here's how it works. So instead of asking, how do I succeed? I would ask, how could this destroy me? So before you sign a contract, how could this contract destroy you? Think about it. Before you take on that partner, how could this partner destroy you? That's what you got to really think about. Before you launch that marketing campaign, how could that campaign destroy you? When you invert, you see the dangers you would have missed. You find the landmines because you stop stepping on them. Most entrepreneurs are so focused on the upside, they never look at the downside, and that's how they get blindsided. You got to pause, invert, then decide. Now, I guarantee you, you're going to start seeing things differently. The cup is half empty. It's not always half full, trust me, because business is war. Now, deadly mistake number 4 is believing, nah, this won't happen to me. I see this optimism bias a lot nowadays. You hear about the entrepreneur who got sued by a client. You think that won't happen to me. Somebody got innocently involved in fraud. You hear about the business that got hit with an audit and you think, that won't happen to me. I'm too small. That's just the chance of that, or like nothing. You hear about the partnership that exploded. You think, well, that's not going to happen to me. My partner's my best friend. But the truth is, it will happen to you. It's only a matter of time. And the only question is whether you're prepared when it does. Because every entrepreneur I've represented in litigation thought that they were the exception. They weren't, and neither are you. Now, here's the inverted solution to this mistake. Assume that it's going to happen to you and prepare accordingly. Get the insurance, get the contracts, get the structure, get legally bulletproof before you take a hit. Wouldn't you want a bulletproof vest on before somebody shoots at you? It's not because you're paranoid, but because you're prepared and you're smart, and that's how you survive in business. Because what? Business is war. It's not unicorns, and it's certainly not cupcakes, as much as you'd love it to be. Now, here's deadly mistake number 5, and that's ignoring red flags because you want the deal. Now, you've been there. You're about to close a deal, a new client, a new partner, a new opportunity. Something feels off. Maybe they're evasive about their finances. Maybe they push back on some contract terms. Maybe they have a reputation you've heard whispers about. Maybe there's just something in your gut about them, but you want the deal. So you rationalize. You tell yourself it'll be fine. You ignore the red flags and you move forward. Now, what's going to happen 6 months later? You're in a dispute and you think back to that red flag that you ignored and you regret it. So here's how you invert that mistake. Red flags are data. Honor them or pay later. Red flags don't lie. That's your intuition. Your desire for the deal lies, right? Your optimism lies. Your ego lies. But red flags, they're always red. When you see a red flag, don't rationalize it away. Investigate it. Ask hard questions. And if the answers don't satisfy you, walk away. Talk to your mentor. The best deal you'll ever do is the bad deal that you didn't do. And trust me, you should be walking away from a lot more deals than you actually take, and most entrepreneurs don't, and they get into a lot of trouble because of that. Now let's talk about deadly mistake number 6. That's making decisions from emotion instead of logic. Your client sends you a nasty email. You fire back immediately. Your competitor copies your idea. You want to sue them tomorrow. Your partner disappoints you. That's going to happen. You want to blow up the partnership. Now these are emotional reactions. And emotional reactions in business are almost always wrong, all right? No matter what. Now, here's what I've learned in 20 years of litigation. Now, emotion is your enemy's weapon. When you react emotionally, you make mistakes, you say things you can't take back, you make decisions that you're gonna regret later. You give your opponent exactly what they want. You're giving them ammunition you don't have to. So here's how you invert that mistake. You use IRAC. That's issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. That's the framework that they taught us in law school, that I sharpened over 20 years, that I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for. It's basically the one most useful problem-solving tool that you need to master to really think like a lawyer objectively, and I can teach that to you. So IRAC is a framework that all lawyers basically use to analyze problems. Issue. What's the actual problem here? Strip away the emotion and define it narrowly and clearly. Rule. What are the rules that apply? What are the legal rules, contract terms, business principles? Application. How do the rules apply to this specific situation? And conclusion is, based on your analysis, what's the right decision here, right? It sounds easy, but defining the issue is the hardest part, and how you define the issue is how you win. That's a trick I'll teach you in another video, but now understand, when you run a decision through the IRAC framework, you remove the emotion, you think clearly, you make better choices, objective choices, and now you're really thinking like a lawyer to win. Now remember, your enemies want you emotional. They want you reactive. So never give them that power. Now, deadly mistake number 7 is revealing your plans before protecting them. Entrepreneurs love to talk about their ideas, their new product, their new strategy, their big vision, and every time they do, they're giving their competitors a roadmap. You're giving the haters and challengers a reason to give you bad vibes. You don't want that. Your competitors are listening. Your enemies are watching. They're always there and they're taking notes. And sadly, other than your true friends and family, people don't want to see you succeed. That's just reality. Revealing your plans to them could ruin your future and alert more enemies that you don't need. So here's how you invert that mistake. Conceal your intentions. Say less than necessary. That's one of the laws of power when it comes to business that I love to preach. That's very valuable to learn that. Before you announce anything, ask yourself, is this protected? Do I have the trademark? Do I have it copyrighted? Do I have NDAs in place with anyone I've shared this with, right? If not, and there's no reciprocal value to you, keep your mouth shut, because business is war. Protect first, announce second, never the other way around, because I can't stress this enough. Business is not unicorns and cupcakes. Deadly mistake number 8 is talking too much in negotiations and disputes. Here's a secret every lawyer knows. The person who talks the most, they usually lose. Why? Because every word you say is ammunition, and in a negotiation, it reveals your position, your desperation, your weaknesses. In a dispute, it can be used against you in court. That's the 5th Amendment. I've watched entrepreneurs talk themselves out of good deals they were getting and out of huge investments. I've watched them talk themselves out of good deals and into liability, all because they couldn't stop talking, and more specifically, they couldn't control that enemy number 5, their own ego, the crown. So here's how you invert that mistake. Silence is power. In negotiations, state your position, then stop talking. Let the silence sit, and the other side will fill it, usually by making concessions. In disputes, say as little as possible. Document everything in writing, but verbally, less is more. Your enemies want you to talk. The more you talk, the more weapons you're giving them. Say less than necessary, always. And if you're not sure what to say, tell them you got to think about it and respond in writing. That's the professional way of doing things. Now let's talk about deadly mistake number 9. That's responding to threats emotionally. Instead of being strategic, you get a cease and desist letter, your first instinct is to fire back. A client threatens to sue you, you want to tell them exactly what you think of them. Someone posts something negative about your business, there's a way to prevent that I'll tell you in another video, but you want to respond to them immediately. Stop. That's exactly what they want. They want a reaction. And we've gone over this. When you react emotionally, you escalate. You say things that can be used against you. You make the situation worse. So here's how you invert that mistake. Never react. Respond with a plan. When a threat comes in, pause. Take 24 hours minimum. Consult with someone objective, a lawyer, a mentor, a trusted advisor, then respond strategically, not emotionally. Remember, emotion is your enemy's weapon. They're trying to trigger you. They're trying to get you to make a mistake emotionally, and that's the easiest way. Don't give them that satisfaction. Pause, plan, then respond. I can't stress it enough. So let's talk about deadly mistake number 10, and that's letting the ego override judgment. In my business defense system, there are 5 enemies coming after your business: clients, challengers, competitors, cops, and the crown. That's the ego. And it might be the most dangerous enemy of them all, because the other 4 enemies, you can see them coming. But your ego, it's inside of you. It's whispering in your ear. It's what makes you amazing, but it's also what causes you to doubt yourself. It's one of the most difficult enemies to manage, and it's also why you need a mentor, because your ego says that you're smarter than everyone else. You don't need a lawyer. You don't need contracts. You don't need to prepare. You're bulletproof. You got here, so you'll stay here. Your ego says that you're too big to fail, too successful to get sued, too important to worry about compliance. Believe me, I've seen all these egos. Your ego makes you take a risk you shouldn't take. It makes you trust people you shouldn't trust. It makes you believe you're the exception to every rule. And that same ego I saw in nearly every case in court and every bad business deal. You got to check your ego or it will destroy you. Now, the most successful entrepreneurs I know are the most humble. They know what they don't know. They ask for help. They prepare even when they think they don't need to. And it's usually a result of having a strong mentor in their life, that they were able to control their ego. I worked for a judge after law school before opening my own practice, and he did that to me. He humbled me as a young attorney. And everyone needs someone like that in their life. Now, the crown is one of the 5 enemies. Treat it that way, right? Your ego is not your friend. It's a threat that needs to be managed. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I don't need that, or that won't happen to me, that's your ego talking. Recognize it. That's exactly when you need to stop and reconsider and think about what it's really saying to you. Now, that's 10 deadly mistakes in Danger Zone 1, power, mindset, and skills. But here's the thing. This is just one of the 7 danger zones that entrepreneurs have to survive in. And I've got 3 free resources for you just for watching this video. First, that's a risk report. This is an AI-powered legal audit that analyzes your business across all 7 danger zones. It shows you exactly where you're exposed. It's a $7,500 assessment that I would do in person, but now it's free because I trained the software. The link's in the description below. Now, second, the Laws of Power Client Defense Edition is a free guide that shows you how clients are one of the 5 deadly enemies and how you should be handling them using the laws of power. Click on the link in the description and it's yours for free. Now, if you want the complete system, the education, the tools, and the lawyer in your corner, all the training, check out the Business Defense Academy. There's also a link in the description below. Now, subscribe to the channel. If you like what you heard, smash the like button. And remember, in business, just like in sports, defense wins championships. I'm Karam, the battle-tested lawyer. Make sure you get legally bulletproof.